It's always like this in life. The worst things happen on the most ordinary day. So I was standing in the kitchen cooking borscht, as always on Fridays. Igor loves it, or rather, loved it. It's strange to talk about it in the past tense, but after that evening, everything became different. The rain pounded the cornice. The autumn was damp this year. I was just thinking about whether to run to the store for sour cream when Igor's phone vibrated on the table. He always forgot it, either in the kitchen or in the bathroom. How many times I grumbled, "You'll lose it someday." And at that moment, it would have been better if he had really lost it. "Honey, today was magical," flashed on the screen. I reread the message probably 5 times. My temples began to pound. My mouth went dry. You know that feeling when the ground slips out from under your feet? That's exactly what happened to me. My head was spinning. "Don't butt in, it's none of your business. Maybe it's work." Yeah, work, with a heart, at 6 o'clock on Friday. Who was I kidding? I knew the PIN code, Lurka's birthday. My fingers were shaking when I was typing in the numbers. And then it all started, messages, photos, meetings. 3 months. For 3 whole months my borscht, of course, ran away. I stand there like a fool, watching the red foam crawl across the stove, and details are spinning in my head. A new cologne, delays at work, some kind of side trips. How was I so blind? The lock jingled, he appeared. He's standing in the doorway, wet from the rain, smiling. And he's even trying to hug me, can you imagine? 15 years together, and it's like I'm seeing him for the first time. A stranger, a complete stranger. "You found someone else? And didn't even think about a family?" She didn't recognize her own voice. Hoarse, alien somehow. His face lengthened. His eyes darted around the kitchen like a cockroach. "Masha, he began. And what can you say? What words can you find for someone who betrayed everything we believed in?" And then, as if in mockery, this clock began to strike. My mother-in-law gave it to me for a wedding, an antique one. "It will be your family amulet," she said. Amulet, as if. And then Lurka came home from music school. Cheerful, chirping something about new notes. I wipe away my tears, and I think, how can I explain all this to her? How can I say that Dad, whom she adores, who has always been a hero to her? "Mom, what's wrong with the borscht?" Lurka sniffed. "Is it burnt or something?" And I stand there, looking at this damn borscht, at frozen Igor, at our kitchen, where every cup is connected with some story. And I understand nothing will be like before. Never. The morning turned out to be somehow gray, like a faded photograph. I was sitting at the table, picking at a cold omelet. Dad was demonstratively rustling the newspaper. Mom was washing the dishes with a roar, such silence I wanted to break, like glass. My old bear Tyopka looked at me from the bed, with an understanding look. I hugged him to my chest. He is the only one who is really listening to me now. Muffled voices of my parents were heard from behind the wall. "Maybe it's time to stop pretending that nothing happened?" Mom's voice was shaking. "Let's not." "Let's not what? Talk about how you trampled our family?" My eyes stung. I took out my diary, a pink one, with a unicorn on the cover. Dad had given me this for my last birthday. "Write down your secrets here," he had said. I wonder if he thought the first secret would be the story of our family's collapse. "Dear diary," I wrote, and tears fell onto the page. They're arguing again. Mom cries at night. I can hear it through the wall. Dad is almost never home. And when he is, it's only worse. Yesterday, I found Mom's headache pills in the bathroom. A whole bunch of them. Maybe if I weren't here, it would be easier for them to break up. They wouldn't have to pretend for me. Something broke behind the wall. Probably Mom's favorite cup, the one with the cornflowers. "Stop being hysterical." Dad's voice sounded tired and angry. "Hysterical? Hysterical? Is that what you call hysterical?" I slammed the diary shut. My hands were shaking as I stuffed the essentials into my backpack. My phone, charger, toothbrush, spare t-shirt. Tiopka looked at me reproachfully, but I took him too. I couldn't abandon my only friend. I wrote a note on a torn sheet of paper from my geometry notebook. "Don't look for me. I'm at Masha's. I don't want to hear your arguments. Forgive me." I thought about it and added, "I love you." Because you do, right? Even now. I opened the front door slowly, afraid of the creak. They were so carried away by their argument that they didn't even notice me leaving. The entrance smelled of fried potatoes from the neighbors below. I used to love this smell. It reminded me of Sunday family dinners. Now I felt nauseous. The phone vibrated. Masha. The parents went to the dacha. You can come. I breathed a sigh of relief. At least someone was waiting for me somewhere. It was drizzling. Fine, nasty. I zipped up my jacket to the chin, pulled up the hood. I found old headphones in my pocket. I turned on the playlist that my dad and I put together last summer. Love of My Life by Queen. His favorite. Come back and give everything back the way it was, sang Freddie Mercury. I wonder if he also had a daughter who ran away from home because her parents forgot how to love each other? 15 minutes to Masha, 15 minutes to decide, am I doing the right thing? But there was nothing to decide, really. Stay and listen to my world crumble? No way. I walked through the puddles, deliberately stepping in each one. What difference does it make? I'm already wet anyway, and not just from the outside. Lara's room smelled of dust. How many days had I not come here? A week? A month? After she returned from her friend, my daughter closed herself off like a snail in a shell. Everything's fine, Dad, is all I hear when I try to talk. And she doesn't look me in the eye. Masha told me to clean up here. Maybe that would be the only way to get through to my daughter. The books on the shelf were crooked, as if they were drunk. I sat down to straighten them and something fell from the top shelf. A pink notebook with a unicorn. I chose it myself. I remember how long I stood in the office, imagining how happy Lurka would be. I opened it by accident, just to pick it up. And there, her handwriting, uneven, blurred in places. Cried all evening today. Aunt Sveta asked from the first floor how things were at home. I lied, said that everything was fine. Dad almost never spends the night at home now. And when he comes, he and Mom don't even talk. It's as if ghosts live in the same apartment. Something sank inside. I turned the page. Saw Dad near the shopping center yesterday. He was not alone. She is beautiful, young. She laughed so loudly. Dad never looked at Mom like that. At least not in recent years. I hid behind a column. I didn't want him to notice me. Then all evening I thought, maybe he fell out of love with us? Maybe Mom and I are not good enough. A lump came to my throat. My hands were shaking as I turned the pages. I failed the algebra test. Dad always used to help me study. But now he doesn't even ask about my studies. Mom takes sedatives. I hear her crying at night. And I just want everything to go back to how it used to be, at least for one day. The last entry was very fresh. The ink still glistened. I think if I weren't here, it would be easier for them. They wouldn't have to pretend that we were still a family. Maybe they would be happier without me. Then Dad could calmly go to that woman, and Mom. Mom wouldn't suffer, trying to keep up appearances for me. I slid down the wall to the floor. My ears were ringing. Sveta's face appeared before my eyes, the one for whom I was ready to destroy the family. What was she saying? You deserve better. Life is just beginning. You need to think about yourself. And I didn't even think about Lurka, about how she was going through all this, what thoughts were going through her head. On the table stood our last family photo from last year's vacation in Crimea. We were all smiling, tanned, happy. Lara was between us with Masha. She had ice cream in her hands. I remember this moment. She was so happy that she found a stand with pistachio ice cream. A door slammed in the hallway. Lara came back from school. I quickly wiped my eyes, but the diary was still lying on my knees. She froze in the doorway, seeing me with her notebook. She turned pale. Dad, I'm sorry. Her voice broke. Forgive me, baby. She stood there, clutching her backpack in her hands, and I couldn't get up from the floor. My legs wouldn't hold me up. For so many years, I considered myself a good father. But it turned out that I betrayed not only my wife, I betrayed my own child. I'll fix everything, I whispered. I swear, I'll fix everything. And for the first time in a long time, these weren't empty words. This bright office was unexpectedly cozy. The soft light of the desk lamp, the pastel colors of the walls, the quiet ticking of the clock. I stole a glance at Igor. He was sitting opposite, fiddling with a button on his sleeve. Such a familiar habit. I used to always scold him for this. You'd rip it off, after all. But now, for some reason, my heart ached. Maria. The psychologist's voice was soft but confident. Tell me what you feel right now. I grinned. What am I feeling? Is it even possible to explain it? I began crumpling the napkin in my hands. Yesterday, I was sorting through the closet and found old photo albums. There, in the pictures, we are real. Happy. And now, my voice trembled treacherously. Now I look at the man across from me and don't recognize him. 15 years. For 15 years, I lived with the dream of our family, and he just went and Igor flinched, as if from a blow. I didn't just go and he hesitated. I got confused. I thought that there should be something else in life, something more. More? I felt a wave of anger rise inside me. And what could be more than family? More trust? Do you even understand what you've done? I understand. He suddenly looked me straight in the eyes. Now I understand. You know, when I found Lara's diary— What does the diary have to do with it? I interrupted, but the psychologist gently stopped me with a gesture. Let Igor finish, Maria. I read what she thinks, what she feels. His voice became hoarse. She blames herself. Can you imagine? Our girl thinks that if she were not here, it would be easier for us to separate. And I was just looking for thrills, thinking about myself, about my desires. I didn't see that I was destroying not just a marriage, I was destroying an entire world. Our world. I felt tears running down my cheeks. I didn't want to cry. Not here. Not in front of him. But they were flowing on their own. Masha, he leaned forward. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want to fix everything. Help me. Help us get our family back. How? I blurted out. How can I trust you after everything? Not right away, the psychologist intervened. Trust is restored gradually, step by step. The important thing is that you are both here. You both want to work on your relationship. I don't want to be that person anymore, Igor said quietly. The one who betrayed the people closest to me. I want to bring back the husband and father I once was, the one I should have been. I looked at his drooping shoulders, at the gray hair at his temples. When did it appear? I didn't notice. At his hands, which were still fiddling with the button. Do you know what's the worst thing? I asked. I miss that husband and father too, no matter what. There was silence. Only the clock was ticking, as if counting down the time until our decision. Maria, the psychologist spoke again. What would you like to tell Igor, right now, without looking back at the past? I took a deep breath. I want to say that I'm also ready to work on our family. For Lara, for us. But I need time. And I need your help, Igor. Real help, not words. He nodded, and in his eyes I saw something I hadn't seen for a long time. Hope. Timid, uncertain, but real. Maybe, I thought, we still have a chance. Tiny, like the first snowdrop after a long winter, but still a chance. The evening sun painted the kitchen in warm tones. I was cutting vegetables for a salad, half listening to Lurka talking about the new chemistry teacher. Can you imagine, Mom? She explains it so well that even Petka, who was in the back row, started to understand something. And last week we did some super complicated experiment, and I succeeded. My daughter waved her arms, imitating chemical reactions, and I caught myself thinking, how long has it been since I saw her so lively? A month ago? 2? As if the sun had shone in our house again. The front door clicked. Igor returned. Before, at such moments, everything inside me would clench. Now it was different. Daddy, Lurka jumped up from her chair. And I got an A in chemistry. Well done, baby. He kissed her on the top of her head, then came up to me. In his hands was a bouquet of wild flowers. So simple and homely, like in the first years of our life together. These are for you, he put the flowers on the table. And one more thing. He took an envelope out of his briefcase, handed it to me. I wiped my hands on my apron, unfolded the letter. Dear Maria Alexandrovna, we are pleased to inform you that your candidacy has been approved for the position of head of the department. Igor, this is. I couldn't believe my eyes. Remember you talked about your dream, to run your own projects, to develop? I called my old friend, told him about your experience. They were just looking for a person. I looked at my husband and saw in his eyes what was so lacking before. Real care. Not ostentatious, not out of a sense of duty. Living. Dad, what's in there? Lurka tried to look at the letter. Your mom is a big boss now, he winked at his daughter. Cool, she clapped her hands. So, now we can go to the sea? Igor and I exchanged glances. The last time we were at the sea together was 2 years ago. Back then, it seemed like our family was indestructible. You know what? Igor hugged us both. Let's go out of town this weekend. It's so beautiful there now, golden autumn. Let's have a picnic, take a walk. With an overnight stay, Lara immediately perked up. With an overnight stay, he nodded. Let's take a tent, look at the stars. I looked at them, so dear, so real, and felt warmth spreading inside. No, not everything is perfect yet. There are days when old grievances rear their heads. When it's scary to trust, to believe, but we are learning every day in small steps. Lyra ran off to pack her backpack for the trip. The essentials, Mom, only the very best. Igor helped me with dinner, touching my hand every now and then, accidentally and not accidentally. And I thought about the fact that love, it comes in different forms. Sometimes it's bright, like fireworks, and sometimes it's quiet, like the evening light in the window. Sometimes it's the first, scorching, and sometimes it's like this, tested by pain, glued together from fragments, but even more valuable because of that. The main thing is not to be afraid to start over, even if you have to learn it all your life.